Building site battlefield.
Developers want to build 1,200 homes here on fields on the edge of Newton Abbot.
But it's in a really sensitive spot. And the current problem is that there is a condition on the planning permission that means they have to look at the way the water moves, not just on the surface, not just surface water. It's the water that goes down and permeates through towards Wolborough Fen. And they haven't done the deep enough survey.
We speak to central government all the time about many schemes across the country. Yes, this scheme would come up in conversation, but can we pressurise, and would we pressurise? No.
So the problem is their survey was deficient, which is why the condition was refused permission to be passed, which is why it was stopped. They still haven't done that survey, and that's what Teignbridge Council is pushing for.
A roundup of the week's politics in the South West now on BBC One. Here's Martin Oates.
Building site battlefields as the government prepares to rewrite the planning rules. This is Politics South West. Coming up on the programme. The government says it's backing builders rather than blockers, but is that damaging the natural world and local democracy?
Is chilling in terms of local democracy. I mean, we've had the problem previously that the governments put housing targets on local councils and you have to deliver them. Now they're sort of saying, we'll put even bigger housing targets on you and you'll have no say about what goes where.
The parliamentary battle over controversial new planning laws is nearing its end. The government's long been clear it wants stronger powers to force through house building in the face of local opposition, and has recently proposed further changes which would give it even more powers to overrule councils. Environmental campaigners, meanwhile, are backing opposing amendments which they say would provide greater protection to the natural environment. Miles Davis has been to a building site battlefield in Devon, which perhaps encapsulates the issues at stake.
Developers want to build 1,200 homes here on fields on the edge of Newton Abbot. There's been fierce resistance locally in a planning battle that has gone on for more than 10 years. And some councillors now fear that they will lose their voice as the government pushes ahead with its plan to build 1.5 million homes. Developers won outline planning permission for this Wolborough project in 2020. A stop notice on groundwork was issued in April because of concerns about the impact on a protected fen, but that has expired and work has now restarted.
I think the current bill that's going through Parliament, hopefully might get amended, is emboldening developers to do works that they might not have thought they had the chance of, dare I say, getting away with.
And what does this say to you then about the relationship between national government, big housing developers and local councils?
The bill that's going through at the moment is chilling in terms of local democracy. I mean, we've had the problem previously that the governments put housing targets on local councils and you have to deliver them. Now they're sort of saying, we'll put even bigger housing targets on you and you'll have no say about what goes where.
Teignbridge District Council says it's looking for more clarification on whether there have been any planning breaches, but the developer, Vistry Homes, insists it is only working within the planning consent. I mean, what do you say to the claim that you're circumventing local democracy by having these conversations with the government about what should be going on here?
We speak to central government all the time about many schemes across the country. Yes, this scheme would come up in conversation, but can we pressurise, and would we pressurise? No. We want to keep the communication open with Teignbridge, and collectively we want to work with them to deliver the very best scheme we possibly can.
Devon Wildlife Trust says the developer needs to do more to protect Wolborough Fen, but the charity's boss also said environmental concerns were being used as a scapegoat for delays in major building projects.
The Treasury are building up the issue of nature as a blocker development when that's simply not true. Recent surveys of both the House Builders Federation and councillors, when asked what are the primary blockers to development in reality, It points to things like skills shortages in the construction industry. It points to things like under-resourcing of local planning authorities and statutory agencies.
The government has consistently said it will be robust in meeting its housing targets.
Are you saying bluntly, this is so important you will bulldoze through local opposition?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
The countryside charity CPRE is worried about the impact this house building will have on communities.
We've got two words, haven't we? They keep coming out of the government: builders and blockers. And builders are, as I say, all pretty much enormous corporates, and blockers are you and I and the communities, places like this. We are the blockers because we say, well, hang on a second, you're going to change the character of our community. And are you going to provide us with all the things we need as well as the houses? But no, we're blockers. We're blockers. We've got to be got out of the way.
Now, Martin, the main development covered there, of course, was in your constituency. But beyond that, up until your election as an MP just over a year ago, you were also the leader of Teignbridge District Council. So you know a great deal about the specifics here. What's your take on it?
So I'm still actually on Teignbridge District Council. So this particular development has always been controversial. It was part of the 2014 plan that came in underneath the Conservative administration, but it's in a really sensitive spot. And the current problem is that there is a condition on the planning permission that means they have to look at the way the water moves, not just on the surface, not just surface water, it's the water that goes down and permeates through towards Wolborough Fen. And they haven't done the deep enough survey to prove where that water is going, which means how they then deal with the water on the surface and what they do. So the problem is their survey was deficient, which is why the condition was refused permission to be passed, which is why it was stopped. They still haven't done that survey, and that's what Teignbridge Council is pushing for.
On the much broader issue, because there is a national row about this, I mean, the Liberal Democrats, as I understand it, share the concerns of the Conservatives and other opposition parties, that these changes will move too much power towards central government. Is that your view?
Absolutely. You know, we are disgusted with the amount of removal of care for the environment, biodiversity, and all the other things that go on there. It's not good enough what is going into this plan. The numbers of houses that are in the new targets are unachievable. You talk to somebody in Torbay, they physically haven't got the land to build the number of houses they're targeted to build. You look at the target for Teignbridge, it's double what we've been desperately trying to get in to our local plan, which has only just gone through and will be made, I think, in May next year. But you can't simply say your target is increased for planning. The problem has never been planning. The problem is the fact that builders only build houses at the rate they can sell them at the price they want to sell them for. So you will not get more houses simply by increasing the planning numbers, which is why Labour's attempt to build 1.5 million will fail.